Before we get rolling today, I want to dedicate this episode to Geordie Lunn. As many of you will know, on October the 9th, Geordie unfortunately passed away while on a riding trip out in Mexico. Now, I didn't know Geordie all that well personally. He came on the podcast all the way back for episode number 47, and since then, we did keep in touch with the odd message and FaceTime call to chat about anything and everything. Geordie was the prime example of somebody who was walking his own path, and I want Geordie's passing to be a reminder to you all that it can be gone in an instance. So today, I want you to think about, are you doing everything in your power to be happy? Are you following your dreams? Are you making a positive impact to the people and to all of your surroundings? Basically, I want you to think today, are you being more Geordie Lunn? Alright folks, once again, this episode is brought to you by our very good friends over at saxunderwear.com. And Sax makes the best underwear on planet Earth. There's probably clinical trials to prove it. Most importantly today, I'm going to talk to you about the Quest Boxer Brief. Now, not that long ago, National Geographic nominated the Quest the best travel underwear on the planet. And who knows more about travel than National Geographic? Nobody. The Quest features a host of cool features which are mind-blowing, and you don't know you need them until you're wearing a pair, such as quick drying micro mesh. Ever got caught out on a ride, walk, hike, or whatever it is you're doing, end up with soggy underwear for the rest of the day? These things will dry super fast, get you back to being warm and dry in no time. They have Anti-Odor Technology. Ever around your friends and they suddenly start walking away from you because you smell? Boom, get a pair of Quest. The Anti-Odor Technology means you won't smell like a dried up, wrinkly old, crusty nutsack ever again. They are moisture wicking. Again, so as soon as you start getting hot and sweaty down below, wicks away the moisture, keeping you once again cool, dry and fresh. And they have a fly, which means if you like to come through the gate rather than over the wall, they've got you covered. But most importantly, they feature the patented ballpark pouch. Not sure what that is. Imagine an upside down hammock, slip your nuts inside it, and there you go. Prevent skin on skin friction, no more nutsack sticking to the inside of your thigh. Game changer. And it's patented, which means nobody else can use that technology. If you want to find out more, head to saxunderwear.com or head to your local bike, snow, outdoor, skate or fashion retailer, and they should have them. If they don't, just tell them we sent you. We are also brought to you by hookitproducts.co.uk. If it wasn't for Hookit, we would have no podcast, so please support us where you can. Every episode I give you guys a discount code. This time, the same as last episode actually, the discount code is MUDCAST, and that will get you 15% off our entire range of made in Sheffield mudguards. So that's once again hookitproducts.co.uk. Enter the promo code MUDCAST, and that'll get you 15% off all our made in Sheffield mountain bike / road bike mudguards. Okay, before we drop in on this episode, I want to say a huge thank you to you guys for donating to our marathon cause. As you probably heard a million times on this podcast, my friends and I, we ran a marathon to raise some money for the Royal National Lifeboat Institute after they saved our lives in April. And I am stoked to tell you that a couple of weeks ago, we headed up to Loch Ness and got the marathon done. Ticked it off that bucket list. It wasn't easy. I didn't get anywhere near the time that I wanted due to getting horrific cramp at mile 20. Had to do a mixture of walking, running, crying and stretching for the next 6.2 miles. But most importantly, we raised some mega money for a very, very important cause. I think in the end, if you factor in gift aid, we raised around about £4,200, I think. But it keeps going up, which is cool. So again, I had to say a massive thank you to you guys for donating and for raising awareness for such an amazing cause. Every episode of the podcast, we also give away a pair of Sax underwear. If you want to win a pair of Sax, all you have to do is head over to iTunes, leave a review, or just share this episode on social media. You have no idea how much it helps the podcast grow. Just a simple share within your friends, or just spreading the word. Obviously I can't track that, but if you just tell your friends about the podcast, it makes a huge difference. You can follow us at the Hook It Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, the Hook It Podcast. If you go on Instagram, the link in the bio you will find you can join the mailing list. We've got a closed Facebook group as well. So there's a bunch of ways you can keep engaged with the podcast. But if you want to win a pair of Sax underwear, head to iTunes, leave a review, just like Old Wit Sided. So if that is you, if that's your iTunes handle, reach out through one of those things, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, shoot us a message and we will get you a pair of Sax underwear in the post ASAP. All right, on today's episode, I was joined by Alex Trimnell. This was cool. I headed down to meet Alex at Muc-Off HQ, got myself a nice tour around, got the VIP treatment, which was insane, so massive thank you to the guys at Muc-Off for that. And saw some crazy stuff. Amazing how much technology goes into creating some of these products. I mean, if like me, you think, oh, Muc-Off have just launched another chain loop, but you don't realise that it's took multiple years, hundreds of thousands of pounds, a lot of testing, and a lot of different factors to get that thing to market. Alex is the man behind Muc-Off, an amazing guy. I hate the term, but an entrepreneur and a very, very good businessman, and a really, really nice guy. So yeah, this is a cool episode. I really enjoyed it. And again, I want to say a massive thank you to Alex for doing the podcast. He doesn't do many interviews actually, or much press. So it's cool that he wanted to do this. So yeah, all right. Enough waffling from me. I'm going to hand over real quick to Ollie Wilkins, a little bit of Zeb, and then we'll get straight into this episode with Alex. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Hook It podcast, endorsed by @OW_23. Add me, tag me. Follow me. Please follow me.
Keep very calm. Give me all your money. Try to count to 10. Little doesn't know it's about to begin. Push it too far, you're the killing machine.
It's like, even if you like stop watching TV, you turn your TV off and you're on your couch, you don't just sit there and ponder. Yeah. You're like, Instagram, you're right, you're just always on.
Yeah. I'm trying way more to disconnect. It's hard, as you'll know, being a business owner as well, and running something way bigger than I could ever get my head around right now. But I'm trying really hard to just, at night, turn it off, done.
Just
stop.
It's hard. I mean, I've gone through periods doing it, and then I just go back, like I think deeper and
you find yourself, what am I doing again? Scroll holing
absolutely.
again, just scrolling shit.
I know.
Anyway, all right, we'll rip it from here.
Cool, sounds good.
All good, sounds working fine. Obviously, before we get going, I want to say a massive thank you for inviting me down here. We were just saying Holly has been incredible already. Cool. An amazing asset to your business. So big props to Holly, because hopefully she'll listen to this.
Excellent.
No, that's one listener.
Fantastic. Good. We got that one ticked off.
Got one. But yeah, amazing to come down here, see this place. From the outside looking in, people probably don't realise how much effort is going into creating these products, how much R&D, how just crazy this place is, dude. Like the business you've built is phenomenal.
Yeah, we're kind of tucked away down here. We are. I mean, loads of people said to us, "Oh, Muc-Off's an American brand. You like the importer?" It's like, no. We do everything kind of here, And there's so much going on. And we just can't get going quick enough. There's just so much to go for out there.
It's really cool as well to see how enthusiastic you are. We were just talking as well, just before, about passion in businesses and stuff. And I didn't know you before coming here. I had no real conceived notions of what you're going to be like. But dude, you can tell you're so passionate about this business and the products and all that sort of stuff. It's really healthy to see it as well.
That's great. And nice. You've got to have that passion, because there is so many. It's a pretty long, lonely road to running a business and doing something that's pretty disruptive and no one's done before. There's no blueprint to say this is how you create something like we're doing, and it's that kind of road least travelled, and so it's those tougher times. If you haven't got that passion, it makes it really tough.
Throw the towel in a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got to keep smiling, and just if you don't love it, it's the passion that gets you there.
Sure. I want to really wind things back. We spoke a little bit, having a bit of a tour around here before about the start of Muc-Off. Incredible history, really cool. I mean, I'm going to let you tell this story. I'm not going to butcher it for you. But, you know, your dad starting this off the back of X-Lite.
Yeah.
So what's your, like, earliest memory then of all this sort of stuff happening?
Yeah, well, it's kind of right back to kind of 1990, 91. Funny enough, it started, my dad had always run motorcycle companies, so he was a circuit racer in the 60s. So we were very much a motorcycle family growing up, always at enduros and superbike races and things. And he actually sold his motorcycle companies, started an ad company doing some sports marketing. He really didn't enjoy that, so he sold that business.
Right.
And at that point, I just got really into mountain biking. So I did a bit of schoolboy motocross. I had really bad asthma, so I couldn't really kind of cut. I had
Couldn't be at the back.
I couldn't. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't. You couldn't see me. It was so far back, and you know, I was struggling. So I kind of thought, you know, I need to do something really fitness focused and just do it kind of on my own. So mountain bikes had just kind of started coming out. I think Dad had seen a mountain bike in a trade motorcycle magazine. The next big thing coming is this thing called a mountain bike. So I managed to get him to persuade me to buy a Saracen Tough Tracks, which I absolutely adored. But it got nicked at school. So I was absolutely beside myself. So anyway, we were just going on a family vacation to Florida. And I remember because the pound, the exchange rate was unbelievable. Everything was like, you know, half price. It was like the pound. It was awesome. And we were looking around for a replacement bike. So I was like, you know, I could get a Trek or get something, you know, it'd be half price. Anyway, we were looking around dealers, driving everyone, you know, my mum, my sister, and my dad mad. Everything we went to was like, there's a bike shop over there. Let's go over there. And we actually stumbled across a Klein dealer.
Right.
So we saw this thing, and I was like, oh my God, I've read about this in MBUK. This is like this American, you know, it's all like, you know, oversized aluminium, polished welds, internal cable routing. And Dad is an engineer, because he'd always been an innovator. You know, all his motorcycle products, he made his own motorbikes when he raced, and he made all his own motorcycle luggage systems and stuff for his businesses. So he was just like, that's just amazing. I mean, even now, you know, an early Klein looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So we basically, long story short, we ended up bringing it back in our hand luggage, but not for me, it was to sell.
Right.
So
really?
we ended up listing them in MBUK from this dealer in Florida. We imported 3 or 4 Klein Attitudes and Rascals and stuff, and sold them in the back of MBUK. And we couldn't believe the phone was ringing off the hook.
Brilliant.
It was literally like every night the phone was like 10, 15 calls going, have you still got it? I'll come down from, you know, and the guy came down from right up north and bought it. So I think Dad was like, this mountain biking thing, people are really into great product. So he started looking and thought, you know, so I managed to get a Klein Rascal from him, persuading him, which was just like unbelievable. I was like, come on, please, I can't keep seeing these bikes around and not ride one. So that became our replacement bike. But it had the Rascal had really horrible cheap chromoly forks on it, so it looked, you know, the frame looked fantastic. And these really just ugly forks. So Dad said, well, why can't it be like a motorcycle fork? Why can't it be twin crown? You know, that's just crazy that you're losing all that stiffness and control. So he basically set around designing that fork in the garage at home, literally welding himself and cutting it, and I started testing it. So it was amazing, and that was the early days. And so he went on to actually then built his own autoclave, and we bonded a set of forks. And then he patented that as the world's first twin crown fork. So it was amazing. Yeah. And it was, you know, the stiffness, the accuracy of steering was mind blowing. So he then actually went on to sell that to Raleigh, that design right.
Why did he sell it?
Well, he I think to tool up for production, we didn't have the money to really invest and go into full-time production. And he really wanted to keep it in the UK. So he knew maybe I could go to Giant or someone, but he wanted to keep it in the UK. So and with hindsight, we probably should have gone to a bigger manufacturer and done that and tooled up. And sadly, Raleigh basically never. They were very excited by it because they'd been trying for years to bond a fork themselves, and hadn't really worked out a way to do it because they were very much into with the Dynatex bonding frames. They were really leading edge on bonding tech, so they were all over it. So the idea was they were going to tool up mass production and put it on all their bikes. They never invested in the tooling, so the whole thing fell apart really, which is sad. But from that, it got Dad thinking about bike components, and then he was like, well, you know, there's Onza bar ends out there, they're pretty good. People seem to be obsessed with lightweight, but I can definitely make a lighter hand-welded bar end. So again, we got going in the garage, and we started making bar ends, and that really became our family business. So I'd come home from school and we'd be packing bar ends in front of the TV.
Really?
And it was, we got the world's lightest bar end. So
just out of interest though, that original patent then that your dad owns.
Yeah.
What happens with that if Raleigh?
So that was
he
sold to
it
Raleigh,
right?
and then Raleigh let the patent lapse.
So
that's when everyone else could then do a twin crown fork. So
okay.
yeah.
That's annoying, isn't it?
Tragic, really annoying, very painful. It could have been a very different story, but you live and learn, and that was a disappointing outcome. But it kicked off Excite, and then that grew and grew and grew, and then Muc-Off came around about '94. Yep. We were getting lots of people complaining that our anodizing was fading on our products, and we were saying, well, why is that happening? And they're going, oh, I'm using this truck wash or this chemical I found at work, for cleaning engines I'm cleaning my bike with. And it's like, well, that's destroying everything on the bike and including our anodizing. So we set about working and thought, right, let's work with a chemical firm and develop a bike cleaner, specific for bikes. And we wanted to make it biodegradable. We want to make it obviously safe for everything on the bike. We made it bright pink because Excite was black and pink. And Dad was a pretty unique guy because he was a great innovator, but also a really great marketeer. Normally they don't go kind of hand in hand. So he came up with the name Muc-Off, and I remember, in the lounge at home he came up with it, and we were like, oh, I think it's a bit too close to the bone, Dad. I think I'll upset people. But it was around that time when French Connection were doing the whole FC UK stuff. Really? So it was around that time. So we thought, well, it's a play on words, knock the K off, make it a bit edgy and cool, and that's where it all started from. So it was just a small thing, we sell a few bottles here and there, and it was a massive uphill battle because everyone was using Fairy Liquid or something like that, which is pretty much free, or you steal it off your mum under the sink, and so to tell people the benefits of using a bike-specific product was a massive new way of thinking, which when you're first to market with something like that, it's the hardest way. Everything's uphill. You've got to convince, and it's literally every single person you've got to tell what are the benefits of that. So big uphill battle, and I, as I was saying earlier, I remember selling the first case, and it was like, oh my God, we've sold 12. We're not going to sell any more for ages. Hopefully next year someone will come back and buy more. And then we got to pallets, and we're like, oh my God, how do you do a pallet? So it was really just built up. And then in 2000, we started growing the range into bike spray, which is the protectant, and we added a degreaser. And then we got into the motorcycle market, and we started doing brushes and just built up. But I guess we always had that kind of engineering principle behind what we did, and it was all about great product. So we would just do a lot of testing, and we took our time doing it. So yeah, we kind of, we knew we had something interesting because we were getting phone calls from people, probably wasn't emails back then, but we were getting phone calls from people saying, I use this on, my motorbike and my car wheels, and it's great, and I love the formula, and it's really safe, but really effective. So we knew we had something cool, and we knew people liked the Muc-Off, everything we stood for, and the brand, we marketed ourselves from the early, tongue-in-cheek, a bit fun, a bit edgy, and lots of the athletes we were working with them, we'd use them in lifestyle ways to really promote it. So I started doing the marketing at that point. So I joined the business out of I quit college. I just didn't get on with college at all. I just wanted to get in and work, and I was racing downhill at the time, and I started doing the marketing, and one of my biggest passions as well as mountain biking was skating. So I was doing lots of skating. So I was really influenced by how skate brands would market and their independence, their kind of punk attitude, and so we started to bring that kind of thinking into Muc-Off as anti-establishment, and kind of we're not influenced by anyone else. We do our own thing. So that was really cool. So yeah.
Jeez, amazing. So much stuff. Like I've got so many questions. Yes, it's insane. So just to go back a little bit then.
Yeah.
What sort of age were you then when Muc-Off started popping off? You said you were at college.
Yes, so I was probably 94. I'm going to have to do some maths now. So I was 14. So I was 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
and what were you leaning towards doing? Were there any?
I didn't. Go? I mean, I didn't enjoy education at all. I just wanted
mate,
to skate and ride bikes. That was all I wanted to do. So I found college painful, and I knew there was so much I wanted to do at X-Lite. So I just wanted to get in and just be anything around bikes. So I was just in literally hand assembling parts, chicken sticks, bar ends, all the stuff we did. And I just loved that. And I was learning engineering, and I was just learning, business from the ground up, really. Exactly. And dealing with people, and dealing with people joining the business, and quality control, and all of that stuff. So and working all the shows, going to all the shows at weekends and racing as well. So I love that life. But I was really keen on the design and marketing side. So that's what got me. So I never really had any inkling of what I just knew I wanted to do. I wanted to help grow the family business, basically.
Right.
So, yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool. And we were thinking as well, weren't we, before, about what did people use before Muc-Off? I literally cannot think.
Yeah.
I remember. I was around. How old are you?
I'm 43.
You're 43. So I'm 32. So obviously 10 years younger. So I remember coming up, I guess, as Muc-Off was coming to market. I've been a little bit younger than you, obviously, but riding motocross 85, I have no idea what we used to wash that bike with.
Yeah, I think we just
water
anything we could get our hands on.
Any sort of shit that my dad could get.
Absolutely.
My dad's a car mechanic, so he'll have brought some gnarly stuff back home that would have melted bits of flooring.
Anything liquid that will go on, just chuck it on. Exactly.
There's some dull bikes back then, just like no colour in them at all.
Yeah, and I think that's it. There was so much cheap product that was caustic.
Yeah.
Or like Fairy Liquid back then is full of salt, so just strips everything out the bearings, just dehydrates all the finishes. It's just terrible. So we've the formula for us. It's evolved over 25 years. It's an incredibly advanced product. It's not Muc-Off's not stayed constant. It's constantly developed, and that's fantastic because there's some amazing technologies that can be incredibly kind for a bike. It's got special additives that adhere to the disc pad material to make to stop brake squeal. There's so much tech in there. It's just so highly developed, and millions of bike cleans later. I'm sure I can't think there's another product that's as developed as a bike wash out there. So
I remember as well, like Muc-Off first coming to market. I do vaguely remember, not vaguely, like vividly remember it now, and sort of. It was quite expensive for a young kid back then, racing and that sort of stuff's not cheap. I remember, just before you sell your bike, you're like, I'll treat it to a Muc-Off. I'll treat it to a bottle of $7.99 Muc-Off. So I do remember it, like, walking around here and stuff today, it's been a bit of a, I do remember that, the brand, and I do remember seeing it. I seen like Billy McKenzie, maybe was one of your first motocross athletes. So that's around 2000.
That was
3, 4, 5, maybe something like that.
Right.
So
absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a.
Well, it's cool
memory jogger,
and it seems a lot of people can reference the brand to something early, like when I first used it or when I used to use it, and that's really cool because I think that's what's been great for us having that brand Muc-Off, that name, is that it resonates with people and people remember it, which makes life a lot easier when you're trying to market to people.
It's interesting as well, and what I'd like to know a little bit more about you is, have you always then like sort of leaned towards business? Obviously your mum and dad especially have always had a business. Yeah. So have you always been like entrepreneurial or anything like that?
I think so. I mean, I think that's why I kind of failed all my GCSEs, so I kind of went to a GCSE level BTEC, which I did for a year, which was painstaking, and then I did a business BTEC. I got 3 months into that, and I was like, I just couldn't reference mum and dad always owning small businesses, running those, and being around that chat around the dinner table every night was just business and how tough it is and all the challenges you have fighting for yourself. So I couldn't really reference what I was trying to learn in business.
Okay.
Clearly, there's a lot bigger, a lot of amazing business.
There are
education out there, but for me at that level, I just knew I just kind of wanted to get in and get, and uni life wasn't for me. And I think that I just wanted to get going.
Some of the most successful people have no qualifications at all, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
because they just want to get in and learn it. And now there's so many opportunities to learn stuff.
Absolutely.
YouTube, even online courses, if you really want to have that qualification. But
absolutely, and I think education it is vital. If you can have that, it can for later on in business. I wish I had more education on
Really?
certain things, but actually learning on the job, making mistakes. I think in anything you do in life, it's like riding a bike. You know, how do you learn? By crashing, finding the limit. It's very much the same in business. If you don't try and failure, it should be successful. I think Google now rewards some of their employees for failure.
Really?
Yeah, because they're actually bonused on failure.
They have like a, what's the project? Is it maybe they call it like Project X or something, where they will literally just do something for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no, there's no
no target
they're just doing it for the sake of trying to do it.
Absolutely amazing. And I think that's really cool, because if you're not failing, you're not trying.
Yeah.
And you can't be the world's best racer if you're not crashing occasionally. You don't know where your limits are. So I think that I wouldn't have done it any other way. I think learning from the ground up, and I think as I took over the business, knowing what it's like to work on the shop floor and deal with the challenges of tolerances and quality control and different batches of anodizing and all that stuff, that's the grounding you need. So and that's I think that the thrill of business to me is every day's learning. It's never, every day's different, every day's a challenge. I find that really addictive.
Same, mate, to be honest. I'm definitely addicted to this stuff, addicted to the hustle. There's been we can get into this later, but like there's a few times over my life where I've been like, you know what, dude, it'd be so much easier to just get a job and work for somebody else. It'd be so much easier, but then I don't think I could do it anymore. I genuinely don't think I could work for somebody at the minute or ever again, because I'm so much in my own thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's something that I do think about quite a lot. You know, owning a business is not easy at all, no matter what scale it is, how big it is, how many employees you have. Still, the day-to-day of it is really tough. It's a constant grind.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely been times over the last couple of years, especially, where you go, you know what, like it'd just be easy. Absolutely, it really would. And
I think you're absolutely right. I think the challenge of it is you never really switch off, do you? It's always,
we talked about before, weren't we? It's never off. It's always on.
It's always
something to be done.
Always something. And I think that's the excitement of where we are in this day and age with digital and all the advantages it brings, but it's also the massive challenges that there is always something to do. It used to be a lot easier years ago when you just did a print ad and you knew your deadline for MBUK each month and you had to get an ad done for that, and you'd load up Quark Express and the Illustrator and you'd do it. And it was like, that's pretty much all we can do is print advertising and shows and
wait
events.
by the phone
now
for a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Just waiting for it to come out.
Totally right. And now it's all of that plus, all the social channels and everything. So if you get that right, and that I think that's the pace that everything is. We've always invested in internal in terms of content producing and media, and even for us it's massively challenging to keep up with that demand and that content creation. It's really, really tough.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's just rewind again a little bit if we can. So 2000, you launched Muc-Off around year 2000.
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually 94.
Oh, sorry.
So
94.
2000 was when we got into the motorcycle market.
Sorry. Okay. So 94.
Yeah.
Geez,
so it's 25 years old this year.
Jeez,
so
okay. My bad. So those sort of formative years then of it launching, going to market and stuff. What was that like for you? Did you leave school and just went full into the business? You've never had another job?
Never had another job.
Amazing.
Never ever worked anywhere else or anything.
Sick.
So I've no idea what it's like to work for anyone but my family or myself. So if it all went wrong, I'd be a disaster. I don't know what I'd do. It'd be terrible. But so I think that was. It was seeing the change. I think Muc-Off was a weenie side when I joined the business.
Right.
It was all about X-Lite and actually seeing how tough that became to be a UK manufacturer, and to see the US brands going to Far East, tooling up great product and be able to bring fantastic product to market. A quarter of the price of something CNC machined in Poole was really tough, and that it got harder and harder.
Right.
So I think I saw, and certainly my dad saw, something in Muc-Off that had no competition was, a big potential market of knowing we could help people look after their bikes better. But massive opportunity, minimal, really big blue ocean to swim in, minimal competition, but creating a market is one of the hardest things you can do, because you just have to spend and push, and we had no money. It was just going to events and talking, and it's just person by person. That's the beauty of social media now. You can blow that up and do that and talk to thousands of people without leaving your office. But we didn't
back
have
then
that
it was
then.
trade
It was
shows
just
and-
trade shows, events, and just sweating it and advertising. And we always, we always spent more than we could afford in advertising. There was never a comfort level.
Really?
Everything, all the profit was always, and it still does to this day, it all goes back into the business just to keep growing.
Yeah.
And that mindset's never really changed. We've always believed in good marketing. Good marketing can't make a bad product good, but it can make a good product great. And I think that's
Beautiful,
that's really important for us. It all starts with a great product, and we painstakingly create everything we do, whether that's a brush to a chain lube to a tubeless valve. There's a lot of love and effort goes into that.
Yeah.
But to propel that and tell the world about that through great marketing is really an enjoyable and challenging kind of way to grow the business.
Yeah, well, we were talking about it before, I guess, as well, because to be able to sort of wrap up and convey what you guys are doing here is hard. I've had an hour's worth of a tour, and my mind's blown. I'm just like, there's no way I could ever retell this to somebody else and be like, guys, you'd never guess what they're doing with chains.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
They're going to this amount of effort to make sure they have the best lube.
Yeah.
It's gnarly, man. It genuinely has blown my mind, because I had no idea how much went into it.
That's
I really
awesome.
didn't.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
just being an end consumer and just, it's on the shelf, they've probably just come up with some solution and like, that's it.
Yeah.
But to actually come here and see Dr. M painstakingly building tooling,
Absolutely,
and investing a lot of money
Yeah.
into making sure you've got the best product is it's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
It's really cool, and it's data for us is vital, because we're a bright, in your face lifestyle brand, and that's how we go to market. But to have data to back up, to quantify what you can do. And particularly some of the race teams we work with, we talk in data, and it's easy to say this is the best lube or this lasts better than that, but we prove it in data, and that's fantastic. And it's brought us in. Ironically, it's brought us back to engineering, which is where we started with X-Lite. So it's really cool to be doing engineering projects and dealing at the cutting edge of tribology and some of the equipment and the things you've seen. There's so much more of that to come over the next 3 months. We've got some major pieces of equipment turning up for tribology. So it's really cool, and I get a big thrill out of that, because that's really tough, because again, nothing has been done on that.
You are
really
paving
before.
the way, right?
We're paving the way on that,
yeah.
and that's why we've won some of these engineering awards and things, because and working with some of the grants we've won with London Chemists and the National Physics Laboratory, dealing with government chemists that deal with some of the most mind-blowing tech, and they find it's been very interesting and challenging work for them to look at what goes on in a chain and how you can improve frictional losses. So we're very much at the early stage, even though we've been doing that for 5 years,
Right.
and working with Olympic teams, and Brad on is our record, and Team Sky now Ineos, and there's been some winning the Tour de France 5 times now. It's some really cool stuff come from that, and it's amazing to see. It's odd, because I'm bad at stepping back and looking at that stuff. It takes an interview like this to actually bring that out, because you're always going for the next thing. You're never satisfied. It's like, well, we've done that now. That means we can do this, and this.
Yeah.
And 10 doors appear as you go through one. So we just want to go fast. There's so much to go after in terms of the tech around a chain. And you think a chain's been on a bike since the Victorian times, and it's still, there's development there. I think
crazy, isn't
as
it?
we said earlier, that's what's great about the bicycle market, is constant innovation in everything.
Yeah.
It's not static on anything.
No,
So,
it's not.
Yeah.
Like you say, it is difficult sometimes, isn't it, to take that step back and go, wow, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you got do you do any of that anytime? Do you ever check out for a week? Or?
Really bad at that. As a
Really?
business, we're really bad at kind of celebrating what we do.
Okay.
It's even our 25th anniversary this year. We've not really talked about that at all, because it's just, we haven't got time to. There's so much new stuff going on. So we do need to be better at that, but it's not a natural way for us. It's kind of, we're working 1 or 2 years ahead of the current product range, and that's so there's benefits to that. If we're always looking at the next, we've got a constant healthy level of dissatisfaction, I think is what we call it, and I read that actually from a CEO of Coca-Cola. He said, that's what he always had at Coca-Cola, was this kind of healthy level of dissatisfaction, because they're one of the biggest drinks brands in the world, but they're still saying, well, there's so much more to do. We got to 1 billion servings a day. Now, how do we get to 2 billion servings a day? And it's, you don't ever want to be comfortable. I think as soon as you feel, I guess my worry is always, if you celebrate success, you can get a bit fat and lazy and say, well, we're really good at that. So you try a bit less. So I think we're always striving for the next thing. But I think it's a balance. We're probably bad at that balance.
Sounds like it. A little bit. Maybe you need to take a week out.
I probably need a week of downtime. I find that very hard.
I can come down here, man, do a bit of therapy with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Light some candles, get zen. Absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
So you officially took over the business in 2004.
Yes,
is that correct?
Right.
Obviously,
absolutely. Yeah.
Dad passed away.
Yeah.
What was that like then, man? Like, were you almost like thrown into it a little bit?
Totally thrown into it. So it was, it was a really sudden death for Dad. It was acute leukemia, so he didn't know he was ill. So he literally just collapsed at home one night. So it was massive shock, going from working with your best friend and your dad to riding together, developing product together, to suddenly, boom, you're on your own. And weirdly, that day he had signed to buy 2 new factories. So we'd really pushed the boat out and bought these new factories for Muc-Off. So suddenly I'm like gone from doing the marketing and being a kid, really, not having any responsibility of running a business or anything, to suddenly I'm running it with my mum. And
no brothers and sisters or anything?
Yeah, so my sister was in and she was involved, and that was, we just were shell-shocked, really.
Yeah.
And so suddenly I had to move, we had to sort of go through, funeral and everything like that, completely still in shock that how can life change so quick? And then moving factories, I went out. Dad had built his own bottling plant, so we were filling Muc-Off at that point with a completely homemade filling plant.
Okay.
And if he would have, it was crazy. It was like it was a kind of a house tank overflow system he'd put in the roof of our factory then.
Really?
And he had a fishing wire that when you filled the tank, if you didn't turn it off by the time the fishing line got to a certain marking on the wall, the whole thing would overflow.
Oh my God.
So if there was a phone call or something, got distracted, suddenly it's like pink foam everywhere, and we'd spend hours tidying it up. So basically, I couldn't. That wasn't fit for purpose. The Muc-Off was growing, so I had to go out and buy filling equipment, learn all about that. So it's amazing how your old life just literally ends in one day, and suddenly you're becoming an expert on compressors and filling plants and production, and dealing with all the banks, changing everything to your name, and it was
imagine, dude,
incredibly intense, unbelievably intense, but also the feeling of building it in Dad's honour is really powerful. And I think that when you're backed up against the wall, you either sink or swim, and it was full on fight mode and go. And we had 3 or 4 amazing members of the team. James, of which is my marketing director, still with us to this day. Amazing people that just had our backs, and we just fought through and prospered. And I ended up shutting down the Excite side and selling that brand, because I just knew we had to just focus on Muc-Off. It was the thing that was growing. So we just grew and grew and grew, and the whole thing was built on grief. Really, it was the distraction of that loss, and I think that the fight of proving people wrong. So I never had any doubt that we could do what we wanted to do. But I look back and I just think, how did we? I don't know how we did that. It was terrifying, really.
Yeah.
And we just hauled arse and just burned the midnight oil and just put life on hold and just worked 7 days a week.
It's a crazy thing, isn't it? Because we were just saying before, but like business never stops.
Yeah.
Literally, no matter what happens, unless you're not that bothered and you want your business to go into the ground, then it can stop. But it's I had not a similar experience at all, but like this year, I almost died this year.
Really?
Yeah, I had long story, an accident in Loch Ness, fell into some water. But the major takeaway I've had from that was, it's a bit of an eye-opener. It was a massive eye-opener. I've sort of learned to sort of slow down a little bit as well. But if I had a died, it'd have just things had just carried on almost.
Right,
or
yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm trying to think. Like it was, I didn't die, but I remember got back home after being in the hospital and stuff, and there was like, okay, you can't really stop.
Yeah.
You got to just carry on,
Yeah.
because otherwise
Yeah.
things go to shit.
Yeah.
You know, you're not
Yeah.
going to get any sales in. Like
Yeah.
your business is gonna flunk.
And a
it's
near-death
been
experience like that is, I mean, that is
It's
it's
crazy.
life-affirming though.
Yeah, life-affirming.
I think it makes you realize life is just short. We are on this
Yeah.
planet for such a short amount of time that you've got to haul ass and make a difference because
100%.
it can just
So
change
it's like,
so
like you say,
quickly.
it's life-affirming. So you sort of, on one hand, you're like, right, I need to slow down a little bit. But the other hand, you're like, well, life's too short. If I want to do what I want to do, you got to crack on at it. And I remember just being sat there. It's like the first time as well, like my brain I'm probably a little bit like you, it's always on.
Yeah.
My brain did stop for a few days, which was really nice. It was
Yeah.
nice to go, whoa,
This is so
jeez,
relaxing.
chill out. Yeah, this is really nice. Could do this more often.
Yeah.
But it did make me just think like, right, okay, I need to just get over this shit right now and just crack on
Yeah.
because you have to.
Yeah.
You do.
And it's strange how it takes something so terrifying as what you obviously went through there to do that. And
Yeah, definitely.
I had a similar experience actually riding motorbikes down in Baja a couple of years ago. My bike broke down, and my buddy went off, and it's in the middle of the desert, 100 degrees, no water or anything.
Oh, no.
And it's Mexico. It's kind of scary, it's like my buddy's from California. He was like, right, you got to bury your bike in it, but you can't be seen. If anyone sees you, you're kind of
Really?
it's not good. So he went off, but he was off for ages, and I thought, oh my God, I've got
Just
no
sat there.
cell phone service. I don't know where I am in the middle of Mexico. And it was 100 degrees of heat, and it's like I've got a little dagger with me because it was like there's scorpions up there. And I was there for hours, and you actually start to think, hang on, this is the first thing in my life I might not actually get out of it. Like, I don't know which, if he doesn't come back, if he gets
doesn't
kind
come
of
back, yeah,
kidnapped or his
crashes,
bike gets stuck
anything.
or crashes, anything, if he doesn't come back, I genuinely don't know. And it was, I actually went to a very calm state. I actually didn't panic. It was kind of, but that was nowhere near, it sounds as terrifying as yours. But still you think, God, there's not many times where you think, I can't just get out of this easily. I don't know which, I could, be lost.
Especially like you said, in a world where we're constantly got distractions and stuff, you're out there in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. Yeah.
On your own.
Yeah.
Like, right, this is real life.
Yeah, and with the phone, you're always, you always think, help, whatever happens, you
can
a
tell
phone
Siri.
call away from someone. You can tell Siri and it will sort it out, or Google
It'll
will
rescue
answer
you.
all your problems. But when you haven't got that, you feel quite alone. But it's amazing how those things do make you think, I've got to live quickly and more while I can.
For sure. So is it difficult then running, a business of this size and being able to have downtime? Are you finding ways? What do you like doing for fun, dude?
It's really tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough, and actually, it's I mean, I've recently just had a little boy. He's 14 months. So that's been, thank you, and it's been amazing, really challenging as well. But because suddenly you've got a really serious situation where you have to give a little human real time. It's vital, and so that's been really good to force me to have time away because you suddenly you're a dad, and so that's been really amazing and challenging because you're just dealing with sleep deprivation and the whole thing. So that's forced me to have time away, which is good because it is about delegation, and that's the thing I've learned probably over the last couple of years, particularly is to learn to let go. It's so hard when I guess I'm kind of a control freak. I love to, I'm obsessed with the detail and everything. I want to be checking every single word and every piece of artwork and et cetera. So for me to let go is really, really difficult. But as I've learned to delegate, I've really enjoyed that process. So, and particularly having William, my son, I've just had to invest in more people and let go of more stuff. Yeah. So it's making me really focus on what I feel I'm really good at that no one else can do, which is really the innovation in the product development. Okay. And that, so it's fine-tuned the business really and helped it release a lot of growth from just more talented people than me doing finance or sales or marketing, whatever. So I think that's good, but all my passion really is around wheels. So any downtime I've got, it's anything really with two wheels. So it's enduro, motocross, or road, mountain, gravel, cycling. So yeah, that's really my kicks, and I love doing adventure stuff. So like I did a couple of weeks in Nepal mountain biking a couple of years ago, which was fantastic. And
did you race Baja too?
I know, so I've never raced Baja. I just go down there with buddies and just ride around, and that's sketchy enough. You just every trip there's crazy stuff that happens. It's mad down there. It's absolutely nuts. And that's really good fun. So I do that a couple of times a year, which is a good kickback. I've got a Honda out in LA, so I fly out there and then head down there, and that's just total detachment down there. That's just brilliant. I think anything where you can put a helmet on, where you, particularly motorcycles where you can't, you literally are riding and I don't have Bluetooth or anything. I never would. So it's a bit like being on a long haul flight where you just your phone doesn't work,
blinders
and
on.
you've got you can completely just peace out. So yeah, I mean cycling is my kind of weekly fix for downtime, and it's amazing cycling how it puts you in a state of. I find the ideas just come to me. Do you find the same?
100%, mate.
It's
100%.
just enough that your subconscious is kind of released, it starts flowing.
As you get older and wiser, you start noticing these patterns in your behaviour too, and that's one thing, especially over the last few years, I've learned to go, right, let's say I'm in the office and I'm just, there's nothing's happening, because you can hit a brick wall, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I'm just sat here.
Yeah.
I'm literally just sat here typing shit to people.
Yeah.
I've learned now, if I go for a 10-minute walk,
Yeah.
things just come back to you. And it's the same with any sort of, I think, idea that's come into our business or the podcast or any other stuff I've got going on, usually comes from going for a ride, run.
Yeah.
Or that's pretty much it, a ride or a run. Like,
Absolutely.
riding something or going running.
Absolutely.
And you learn over time that you just need to check out a little bit, go off the grid, and try and just, be at one, just let your brain figure shit out. Because you're constantly bombarding it with stuff, right? You're constantly just like overwhelming it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you do need to just like...
And I remember reading somewhere that riding a bicycle always puts you in like a childlike state, because it's that first feelings of freedom when you're allowed out on your own on a bike.
How good is it to just jump on a bike and freewheel down a hill?
It never just
You're
doesn't,
just like, wow.
it's just that right smile on your face, like, oh my God, I'm free, everything, the chains are off, I can just go anywhere. And it doesn't, I mean, I still, that feeling, I don't think it ever leaves us, does it? And that's still my biggest kick. So, just going out and just even just riding around, Bournemouth and just going across a golf course or whatever. If you can just get that in, after work before I go home, it's great. So.
Definitely.
But I have to really fight. I'm really bad at balance.
I think as well, the thing is, so you go out for a ride or a run and you come up with all these ideas, but that then starts this chain of like, right, I need to tell people, I need to email, I need to make notes in my phone, I need to...
Yeah. And it's the drug. I'm not very disciplined. I'm hard at saying, right, today I'm going to go for a ride at 4 p.m. and get that done before I go and see William. It's kind of like the drug of business. It's the machine that just keeps going, and it's just like, something will come up and an idea will just go, and then suddenly it's 7 o'clock at night and you're like, oh man, it's gone. The day's gone. So I've got to get disciplined at that. But business is my priority, and it's I love it. It's just every day. I can't wait to get in and get going.
Who do you look up to in the business space? Is there any sort of, I hate the word entrepreneur. Yeah, I hate it. But entrepreneurs or business people you look up to and you're trying to model yourself on or follow a little bit? I mean,
probably some of certainly like Elon Musk blows my brains. I mean, just unbelievable. I think that to see that, to read his life story and how he kind of has gone around saying, well, we need to colonise Mars to save the human race, and to do that, I need to build cars to fund that rocket and build that. And the simplicity of his business plan, it's just like, do this to fund that funds that, and then we save the world.
Flamethrowers.
Exactly. Just amazing. So I think his disruption and the way he's done it with, fun, and created a brand that, like Tesla cars, they've got, fun, you can have a fart machine. Every time you press an indicator, it's like a whoopee cushion. And
ludicrous mode and all that stuff.
Ludicrous mode. Yeah. Just to go head to head with people like, Porsche and Mercedes and then have fun with that is just, and disrupt that market is just amazing. So I think he's a massive inspiration. So many, Steve Jobs, it's just all of those greats that just have had that vision, and their they're product entrepreneurs. That's what I find fascinating.
Okay.
I think, you know, there's clearly some amazing people out there with investment stuff, and that's exceptional, and they've clearly got a different level of intelligence to do, you know, finance and that side. But I find people that are engineers and that have created
Hands-on,
product
like,
and a brand around that really fascinates me, because knowing how hard that is to do.
That's the thing. There is obviously a big movement now towards people, you know, running dropship businesses, for example, where it is a different brain, totally different.
Absolutely,
to be able to do that stuff. And hedge fund managers and all that stuff, like totally
genius different. Levels of just intelligence. I wish I'd have, but that's not my side of the brain I use for sure. Yeah.
No, I've tested a few of those things as well. Been like, I reckon I could be a stock. I reckon I could trade stocks, and then you're like, yeah, shit.
Yeah,
I've lost everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. I've been there and tried some of that myself.
Yeah.
But I was just curious, you know, like, you know, who you do look up to. You know, you said this is your first ever podcast you've done, which is rad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. But do you listen to anything like podcasts to keep you motivated or inspired or anything?
I tend to read autobiographies more than anything. Yeah, that's my thing, because that just, again, reading just gives me that headspace. And again, I find it hard just to stay focused on reading. But when I can read, particularly on a long haul flight, is my time when I can just let go and read. So I read a lot, and I do listen to Monocle and stuff like that, and some podcasts. But I think, you know, even Dieter, that you know, with what Red Bull have done, Red Bull, early days, that's been for us that kind of, you know, a brand that's used sport to propel itself. Has been probably us as a business, and for me personally, is a massive we're just awe-inspired by what they've done, and sprayed helmets, which we now do lots of athlete helmets and stuff. And I think seeing how it's similar in a way that if a rider is drinking Red Bull, you can't see that while they're doing their sport. It's the same with Muc-Off. If they put Muc-Off lube on their bike, you can't see that. So you have to market yourself in much more innovative ways to promote that people are using your product.
That's interesting.
So that the way Red Bull did that and where that took them is just...
Dude, like getting that helmet and stuff, it's such a badge of honour for a lot of athletes too.
Yeah.
And something I was going to ask you, you know, you're almost not fighting for it, but you've done that with some of your athletes. I think Deeks, for example.
Yeah.
Reed Boggs, maybe.
Absolutely.
You've got quite a few athletes now that are full Muc-Off helmeted up.
15 helmets now, fully sprayed, and that will rise again next year. So, and what's cool, we tried to get every athlete helmet. We sit down with them and say, right, what's your story? What are the things? So Reed Boggs is really into UFOs, so his helmets always have UFOs and stuff in them.
Really?
You know, Jake Shipton, one of our pro motocrossers, he's got, you know, his dog is like his best friend, so he's got his dog on sprayed into the design. So we love to put an athlete's story, their own, make it really personal to them, because it is, they've reached that point where they're, you know, at the top of their game, and we want them to feel that helmet is their kind of badge of honour, you know, which is really,
it's really
fun.
cool. Like when I started seeing you doing that a lot more, it was really cool to see, you know, because again, it's, you know, either an energy drink rider or you're not. So to have other brands on there,
absolutely
really cool.
Yeah, it's been, and again, it's that kind of setting up that vision and starting to do that. I think that's the really exciting thing, is it's always hard having a family business with self-funding and trying to raise funding and trying to do everything on a shoestring, and to, you know, so much of the investment in marketing is ahead of the growth curve. So you have to take a big sharp intake of breath. Everything you're spending in the hope, you know, it's the same. It's the same with, you know, growing the team. Everyone, you have to say, well, you know, we haven't got lots of money, you know, to get this wrong. So, you know, which I think makes small business fantastic, because you have to be laser focused in terms of making sure you don't get it right every time, but trying to put, you know, everything you've got with thin resources in the right place. So seeing that come out and seeing the brand grow through the vision of seeing people in helmets has been fantastic.
Cool, man. Yeah. And like Holly said before when we were chatting, you can be quite reactive still, because you're not too big, that you can literally just have a meeting or whatever you need to do, and you can just be on it straight away. You know, within the day, you can just adapt.
Yeah, and I think that agility is vital.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really important, and we want everyone to input in the business. We have a really flat management structure. We want everyone to come up with an idea, and we can. We want to be kind of like a fortress. Again, it's like that early days of Apple. We a lot of our internal presentations are all around kind of pirate mindset, because they were like the original punks. They were just like fast group of people going out and defending their market share and trying to get more. And Steve Jobs, I heard in the early days of Apple, they always flew the pirate flag because they were fiercely independent and just there, just to go for it. And we like to be the same. We like to be small and agile, and in our thinking, no matter how much we keep growing, we want to keep that mindset.
I read a story the other day about the Apple logo. The story about the Apple logo, how that was created. So basically, Steve Jobs, wasn't it, found this designer. And the designer said to him, "I will design your logo. I want $250,000 up front, and you can't see it." And then he paid him, and then it was literally an apple with a bit of a bite took out of it.
No way!
Apparently that's how it came around.
Is it really?
Yeah,
That's
250 grand for that.
I love it.
Wow,
God,
a lot of money.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you go on to create the world's biggest company? It's like incredible, isn't it?
Nuts,
it's just
isn't it?
like amazing.
It's like inconceivable as well how much money that is. It's how many people have got an iPhone? I mean, and a MacBook and an iPad and
I know.
Everything.
And to disrupt that many industries, the music industry, TV, media in general. It's just. I love that there's people like that around the world. It's just incredible.
That'll go after it, for sure.
Yeah.
So over the years, then, how much is the Muc-Off? Let's just talk cleaner because that's what people mainly know. I think. How much has that changed, and sort of? Are you constantly improving it? Is there still literally a secret recipe in there as well?
There is. I mean, there's an absolute core secret formula that that is pretty much stayed the same, but there's lots of improvement. I mean, in terms of chemistry, there's so much improvement in more sustainable ingredients and more effective ingredients, and so it's the constant fine line of performance versus safety for the user, for the bike, and for the environment, and dealing with worldwide legislation. Legislation is a really complex side of what we do. The US have a very different legislation to EU, as do Korea and China. We sell in over 70 countries, so it really is complex dealing with chemical products in all these different markets, and you're dealing with making sure they don't leak, making sure the packaging doesn't change, or different temperatures in transit. You can have a container stuck on a ship in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and it's kind of boiling, and making sure it's safe, or it can go into Scandinavia in the middle of winter. So there's a lot to every product, and a lot of testing in house we do in terms of temperature stabilities.
Yes, that's one thing that I've really enjoyed learning about, actually. And something that I never even thought of. And I bet a lot of people listening to this would never think, okay, so you make a product, but if you're going to sell it in a different country, it needs to withstand X temperature, whether it's high or low, transit. You said, you flew somewhere and some of the product evaporated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like all this sort of stuff. So you've got ovens here, you've got all this stuff going on that, again, end user, never. I just see a bottle of cleaning fluid, right? I never think, okay, wow, how does that get to that country? And
dude, there's so much goes into that, and it can be years of testing to, our sealant was 6 years of testing to get our sealant, because we knew we didn't want it to. It had to be stable in every type of temperature, cold to hot, and very user friendly, and do its job, because. And not dry out quickly. So painstaking testing, and every time you find failure, you change the formula. So you start all that testing from the beginning. So you can be 15, 20 formulas into a project, and it's incredibly painstaking. And that's where the years can tick by on a product that seemingly is simple, but actually is very complex.
Again, you don't see it as an end user. You just go, Muc-Off have brought out this.
That's right. They've just
tire sealant is a prime example. That's taken you 6 years
to
make that.
Absolutely, it's a lot, and it's really, and then you're dealing with all the different legislations. Then you've got to package it, and then make it user friendly, and make the packaging as sustainable as possible. So there's never a dull day. There's always lots to do. And we're over 250 different products now. So
really? Wow.
So that's a lot for a small team to manage. And then as I said, make sure it's compliant in all these different countries.
So what product then has been the fastest to come to market, and what's the longest?
Good question. Probably the Sealant's the longest.
Is it? So 6 years?
Yeah,
Around 6 years?
absolutely. The fastest, that's a good question. It's probably our Silicon Shine product. We hit that formula pretty quick,
Really?
full on.
Right.
That's we've launched that in motorcycle now, but that's only just launching in the States. So
Okay.
So again, compliance-wise, we've not even launched that there. But that was a quick one that we just knew we hit the formula very early on, and it was just like such an advantage to it. So, but the lubes are very long. They take a lot of testing, particularly with the dynometer we've got. So we can now break every formula down to
Dude, that's
its
crazy
wattage.
to see.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah.
So to start making a lube, I don't know, where's it start? How do you do it? What the hell?
So start really with kind of the need. So, you know, what do you want it to do? Do you want it to work in wet weather, mountain bike, road, whatever? So you really start to define that we probably start, pretty much every product we've ever developed, it starts with a problem.
Okay.
So this is the problem, you know, whether that be a brush that doesn't quite fit that part of the bike, or a lube that doesn't perform in that type of condition. So we'll start really with that creates the need, and then we'll basically just work out, so right, if we want a dry lube, that will probably be a wax-based lube, or some new tech which we're developing at the moment for dry lubes, and then we'll say, do we want it to be very fast or durable, or the holy grail is fast and durable? So we'll just really go down a development path and start to work with some initial blends.
Okay.
So we'll put those, our chemists will put those together. And then really that's where the hard work starts, because that's when you start to slowly tweak through testing. It starts in the lab with the dynometer, so we can start with the frictional losses and say it's fast or it's slow and we need to modify or change. So there'll probably be 4 or 5 formulas in that process before it's even gone on a bike. Wow. So that's where we can accelerate the rate to the launch to market, because we've got in-house testing to that level, and the data cuts out a lot of the guesswork that when you go out testing on bikes and the real world stuff, which is the vital side of the testing, you've cut out the things that are hard to quantify when you're out riding, of what point did the lube start to wear out, or
and you've got it as
you've
well,
got
right?
that.
And
So
people listening, the what do you call it?
A dynometer.
Dynometer.
Yeah.
Is in effect a crankset.
Yeah.
Well, a chain. Fucking hell, mind blank. It's a chain set.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, which is running, and it's measuring tolerances. It's measuring how the lube's performing.
Absolutely.
It's measuring everything really that's going on.
Right? Yeah, and that dynometer, we actually laser scanned a Pinarello, a Team Sky Pinarello at the time. So it's literally within nanometers of the actual of bike. So it's a complete replica of the bike on a flatbed on a dynometer, and it's really measuring the frictional losses. So power in, power out, and the frictional loss through the transducers.
Right.
But the level of hardware we're using is National Instruments, which is, they run nuclear subs from and power stations and stuff. So it's incredibly advanced tech, and a massive amount of investment goes into that equipment. But that will give you the frictional losses and the speed. But you can then see the durability. You can see when a lube starts to basically go to wear out, to then go metal to metal. So you can do a lot of modifying at that stage. Then we've got environmental, so we can blast it with road salts or mud, and again, it's all repeatable, so everything has to be measured. You could just chuck a load of mud at a chain and go, oh look, that's good, but you need to repeat that 20, 30 times for a formula. So everything's about repeatability, which is the challenge. So we've created our own mud formula, our own gun that gives it exactly measured control.
Your boy with
time.
The target.
Yeah, exactly. You can target shooting with it. So it's Martin, our head of R&D, is an amazing guy. He just he's a real boffin. Just tucks himself away.
He's a wildcat.
This stuff. He's an amazing guy. Yeah. So that's really cool. So out of there'll be the 4 or 5 modifications, as I said. Then it will go onto the bikes. Our pro athletes or in-house testers will test that product. We'll give feedback on there, more modifications from there. Then it goes into packaging stability. So we'll do various tests over defined period and different temperatures, hot and cold, UV and things like that. So lots and lots of testing there. Then transit testing, so drop testing for shipping around the world.
Right.
So all of that can take up to 2 years easily for a lube. Right. And then it's ready. Yeah, if everyone is happy with it at that point, then it will be signed off and go into production.
God.
So so there's lots. And actually now we've created all that equipment, and with the new equipment coming, it actually makes developing lubes much easier.
Right.
Cleaners are more. It's harder to get quantitative data on. That cleans better than that.
Okay.
So again, we've created lots of in-house tests with our own mud and lots of different testing methods for being able to test ourselves. We test against competitors, test against new formulas we're creating. So again, we've managed to take the guesswork out of cleaning, of saying, I think that's cleaned that bike better. Okay. Because repeating a bike test is quite hard, because if you take 2 bikes out on the same muddy day, if you want to repeat that test the next day, once they're washed, you've got to go back out and other conditions may have changed. So again, repeatability is really, really important. So we've created lots of great in-house tests to instantly see, so we can measure the difference in cleaning technology. So all this stuff just
it's
keeps us at the
fascinating,
forefront.
man. It's like I said, I had no idea before coming here. Really, I sort of knew there'd be a lot of stuff going on. Having read certain interviews and stuff that you've done, but the whole thing it's mind blowing. It really is. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, there's just so much.
I can see why you're so fired up.
I know, exactly, absolutely. It's the to-do list just gets bigger and bigger. You know, it's exciting. Yeah.
How about hiring people then? You said the team's grown. What are you now? 50 plus?
We're 50 plus. Yeah. We're about 52 now. Yeah.
Wow. 52 members of staff.
Yeah, jeez. I know. And I think we were only about 15 like 3 years ago. So
really?
It's grown. Yeah, it's really exciting. The last 18 months of real growth.
How?
Just through. Particularly export markets. So we've got the German markets going really well for us. The US market's growing, and just doing just doing more product and growing the business in all the channels we're in. So the UK market is a 25-year-old market, but it's still growing really strongly for us. So there's just lots more education and lots more parts of the market that don't know. That a lot of our products exist, or how to use them, or the benefits of using them. So as we grow our teams, it's showing more opportunity. So
you're noticing that sort of trajectory then, that the more people you bring in, the more growth you see.
Totally. And we've already identified that there's lots of pockets of opportunity in different markets in different parts of the world. So it is, and that's the challenge of being self-funded and being a family business, is that you think, God, if we could add another 100 people, they'd all be flat out and
really?
Go
wow,
for it. So it's a really nice place to be, but it's the balance of not overheating, and like I said earlier, all the investment is ahead of that growth curve. So if you bring in new people, it can be 3 to 6 months before you see the benefit of their work. So you have to fund that kind of gap, So
definitely. It's something that, as well as a small, I run a really small business compared, but it's biting that initial bullet of hiring people. It's it's a big thing as well. I sound like I'm quite similar to you in that I am a bit of a control freak. I like to have my hand in everything that's going on in the business, and at some point you do need to step back. The company I had before, we had 12 employees at that. And I remember that just being really difficult, actually, because I don't like handing over certain things. And some, they say, don't they, if you want a job doing, do it yourself. But there's only so much of that you can physically do really before you just burn yourself out to death.
Absolutely. And you've experienced that. I experienced that burnout. I got to that point where I thought, hang on, I am, every kind of 3-4 months, I'm just etching another half an hour off my sleep. So I was going from like a nice 8 hours of sleep down to hang on, it's like 5 hours sleep. And it was just obsession. It was just burn the midnight oil, and it was like that for years. And then you just get to the point where you just reach burnout, and you think, hang on, I'm now like, this is not sustainable.
No, not at all.
But I took it to the brink of that to say, I have to learn to delegate. It was like I'm I'm now the bung in the bottle. I'm actually slowing my whole team up.
Right.
I'm actually frustrating everyone because even though I'm working kind of 15, 16 hours a day most days, I can't sign the stuff off quick enough. So I'm the hardest working miner in the pit, but actually I'm just frustrating everyone else. So as soon as I realised that and thought, right, I've got to just let go. These are amazing people, and I don't want to micromanage everything and drive. You've got to. How does Steve Jobs go from that to running a multi-billion-pound operation? He's clearly at some point let go and hire. And I think that the trick is to hire people much better at as many things as possible, and that's what I've seek to do, is just invest in talent and see people that are just exceptional at what they do, and that's what we've got is 50 plus people that are just all exceptional individuals that create an amazing team, and they're just doing stuff that blows my mind, and that's for me been the most fulfilling thing, is seeing them doing things. I think I'd never come up with that. That's amazing. They've just done that without my input, and they've just gone and done it, and that's like ridiculously cool. And that's to see that energy then going on its own without my input is really, really cool.
Yeah, it must be kind of refreshing as well to be able to go for a bike ride and know that things aren't just going to come to a stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely how I've felt over the years as well. It's like, right, if I go for that bike ride, that means that's 2 hours that I'm not going to be working.
That's it.
So you restrict yourself. And people who listen to the podcast have probably seen this happen. That I think when I started it, I was working myself into the ground. And the reason I started this podcast was to market the business. It was shoestring budget. Okay, how do we market this company? I'll start a podcast. I had 2 options, right? It's quite funny. First one was, the first option I came up with to market our company was to break the world mountain bike long jump record.
Really?
Ridiculous idea, mate. Ridiculous. But I'm like, that'll get eyes on it. That'll work.
Absolutely,
And I can do it, ish, maybe. Second idea was a podcast. So hence why we're sat here and my legs aren't broken. I'm good. But, and I think people have probably seen with this whole podcast that I've gone from just working myself into the ground to now actually riding a little bit more, because I used to hold myself back from doing anything fun because I felt that I didn't have time. Like I literally was like, that's 2 hours off doing that. Like, I should be doing it.
And it's such a vicious circle, isn't it? It doesn't lead anywhere but just to a darker place.
It does. Exactly. Exactly. More anxiety, more stress. That's exactly right, mate. So again, I've been going through this whole reconnecting with mountain biking in the last few years. Of trying to find why do you do this? Like, why am I not sleeping? Why,
absolutely. And I think that's what's coming. That's what's so fantastic about all the discussion about mental health. I think mental health is such a strong problem with entrepreneurial minds, because I think it leads to that you can so easily become separated and just insular and in your own world, and then you hold yourself to such high standards, and then if you don't meet those, you beat yourself up.
100%.
And I think that's great that people are talking about that, because that is just it's a fine line. And sport is the way to keep you on the right side of that, because it's really tough, and there's a lot of excitement and wonderful things about running a business, but there's a lot of really tough things as well. And I think
the strange thing as well is sorry to interrupt you, but you've got, don't mean to put stress on you here, but you've got people in this building that their life revolves around you doing your job properly, right?
Absolutely.
And that's something that as well, I remember when I had staff, I used to hate that thought. I'd be like, if I stop working today, that person's just had a kid. That person's buying a house. Like that, there's a lot goes into running a business. Like that side of it that people just don't.
It's a massive pressure. It's a massive pressure, and I think you find as the business owner, ultimately, the buck stops with you. All the decisions come to you, and that's the. It's a massive pressure. If you get a couple of big decisions wrong, that's affects a lot of livelihoods. Definitely. And it's really tough. And you take that home, you sleep with that. You wake up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat with that thought. It's really tough. And it's until you've been in that position, you don't quite know that pressure.
I think a lot of people take it for granted too, that they roll into work. Do your job, go home.
Absolutely.
There's someone behind the scenes, and it was a friend of mine was talking about this on one of his podcasts. There's so much going on behind the scenes. If someone somewhere's losing sleep, someone's stressed because they haven't got any money to pay you, and they're trying to make it happen.
And Jim, that I remember those days of thinking, if we don't get more orders in, we've got salaries coming up next week, and that's a terror. But isn't it amazing how you always something. Just shows the power of positive thinking and the power of just making it. You have to find that money to do
Definitely.
that, and you know, we lived like that for years and years and years, and it's only recently as we've built the business to a point that it's not so hand to mouth. But those are long dark days.
I'm in them, mate.
I know.
I'm in them.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Look
really
at my fingernails.
tough. I know exactly. It's hard, but ultimately that's, you know, when you break through that and you feel that success, it's fantastic. So. Yeah, it's you look at sort of big companies where they're insulated from a lot of that, and you think, you know, that must be a nice place to be, and we're definitely not there yet. But you know, it's
hit you with a bit of a harder question actually. It's sort of I wanted to talk to you about the UK market's changing quite quickly. It's forever evolving. You know, as regards to bike tech and dealers and distribution agencies and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You've recently pulled away from being with a UK distributor. Curious, why, how, and where do you see all that sort of side of things going? Sort of a bit of a harder question.
Sure.
This is interesting to me, being a distributor.
Absolutely.
I'm curious where it's all headed.
We found, you know, we first went, so when we were back in probably 98, we were selling direct to dealers, but we found it hard to get the volume up. We didn't have a sales force, we didn't have people on the ground, so that's where we started working with distributors. So we really used distribution to grow our market share and to get the product into more people's hands. And as that worked very well for us. That allowed us to grow the volume, grow the business, and also be able to focus on export. So very, very early on when Dad passed away, we'd never gone to Eurobike or anything. So I set about going to Eurobike and saying, I was so worried about someone kind of copying what we did and thinking someone else could come up with a really fun brand and some great product and do what we're doing. So it's kind of almost out of fear that I started saying, let's just start exporting, because the quicker we can shout out, you know, I'm sure other countries are going to want what we did. So we did that really early. And because we had distribution, it just meant that we didn't need a sales team, and we had, you know, great people also pushing our product. And that worked right through to this year. But as we've built the business to a point where we've got a great structure and we can invest in our own team, being based in the UK, where we're in our home market, we just felt and knew from the market being out and about in dealers that there was more opportunity. And as great as our distributors have been, in particular our last one were great team, we just knew that you can't beat the focus of your own brand, and there's so much of the passion that goes into our product, and hopefully some of the stuff you've seen today that is no matter how good the distributor is, that a bit of that is lost through translation. So we just knew we wanted to have more direct contact with independents to say, hey, we can support you. You know, you support us by stocking our product. We want to give you more, and that's hard when you've got a distributor in there that they try and do as much as they can. But ultimately, we got to a point where we just felt we could do that bigger and faster ourselves. So you know, it was really just a point in our strategic plan that we just felt that we could offer more. So that's been doing. That's been a lot of investment in infrastructure and systems and team.
New staff.
New people joining, new B2B website and things like that.
Excellent.
So, and also logistically, you know, dealing with smaller independent orders versus bigger distributor pallet orders. So right the way through the business, that's been. But I guess it for us, it felt like we were just going back to our roots, because that's what we did years ago. And having direct relationship with stores and hearing feedback and how they want better support and things has been really good for us. So it's been a great change for us. But it's certainly something that's it's easier to do in our home market. That's not something that
globally
it'd be pretty and again it's that focus, because that's one of the biggest lessons we've had over the last 15 years of running the business is it's so easy to think you can do, because we're successful at that, let's go and do this and this. And the focus, you can give it through really bloody hard work. You can give it a really good go, and you can go and do other markets and do different products and things you want to do. But ultimately, you just reach that burnout quicker, and everything. Doing three things clearly is the third. The less focus goes on the original thing. So, so we've learned that focus is really important, and that's what distribution in terms of export markets gives us. Is we don't have to worry about the sales force and things like that. We worry about really supporting the distributor who then can support their dealers. So that's been that change.
That's really interesting, and like I said, it's something that, being a distribution company owner, I'm just really curious, like what's going on in the market. I think it feels like to me, a lot of brands are going more towards the agency basis of having, I do it. I've got two agency brands that we run, Red Bull Spect and also Saks Underwear. European, DC, no problem at all. Like it's nice, and I just feel that seems to be the way that a lot of brands are going now. Just place everything in Europe, have a sales force, agency base. You're not having to deal with holding crazy amounts of stock anymore. It just seems to be. Although I'm really old school in that I love going to our office and going, we own that. There's physical stuff there. But there's also a real nice feeling when you go, we don't need anything. I've just got my samples and I'm good to go. And we've really moved towards owning brands, like starting our own brand rather than just distributing other people's stuff. That's been a switch that we've made. A little bit of Brexit protection as well with importing, a little bit of that going on. But for the most part, I don't know, it's just weird. It's just changing, isn't it? It's forever evolving, right? Like,
absolutely. And how have you found that owning a brand? Like, because
it's cool. I mean, we've been really mindful of keeping everything as close to home as possible. So most of our stuff's made in Sheffield. So we do a range of mudguards, for example, which are made in Sheffield. We do custom mudguards, which are made in Sheffield. Awesome. Unite, which is one of the brands that we actually do distribute. So Unite components, all made in Wales. So we're really trying to keep everything. We just launched a frame protection brand as well, all made in Sheffield. Brilliant. Packaging is made in Sheffield. Everything. We're just trying to keep everything as close to home and as sustainable as possible. It's really hard to get that across to customers. But it feels the right thing to be doing right now in this market, rather than importing stuff and having to work with brands and build brands. It seems to be the best thing just to invest in your own brands.
And keep things tight. Keep things as close. I mean, that's what we've always tried to do. It's been really expensive even having graphic design and as much stuff in house as possible. But through the tougher times, tough times in our business and economy wise, having that close and with control, it's been saving grace on so many levels.
Definitely. So that's one thing that we've been really mindful of. Like I say, it's just trying to cut down the whole, not cut down importing and stuff, but it's it's tough, isn't it? Brands, if you're a distributor, they always want you to be doing more. But sometimes it comes to a point where you're like, we can't do any more. Like this is our max volume. Not of products sold, but like effort and resources and bandwidth that we've got to put into this. So sometimes you have to learn to go, you know what, let's just part company. We're going to go a different direction. And that's one thing that we have had to do over the last few years, being a small distributor. We've only got so much, money available and so much, just resources. So, even being out on the road, there's only so much you can physically do in a day. I do the whole country on my own. It's tough. There's only so many people you can see. There's only, literally. Absolutely. So, trying to, especially through the current economic climate, it's just like tighten everything in and just batten down the hatches a little bit.
And I think
it's just be smart.
It's about as much saying no than anything. It's learning to actually say, we're not doing it. It's really hard to let go of a revenue stream to say, we really need that funding. But you know what? It's not right for our strategy. And that's tough.
It's really been tough as well. Sometimes not saying no to brands, not saying no to them, but having them say to you like, "You're not doing a good enough job. Basically, we need more." And it's like, all right, I used to take it really personally because I'd be like, "No, fuck you, fuck you, like we're doing a great job." But then you sort of learn that, all right, maybe that particular brand is better suited to a bigger distributor that have got a bigger sales force and all that sort of stuff. So. Sometimes you do feel a little bit hard done to. I'm not going to lie that you sort of incubated a brand mainly through hard work, passion, and dedication. and then it gets passed over to another distributor. That is
and that's because you're putting passion into it. You feel
it's a passion
sense
project,
of
mate. This
ownership,
whole thing,
you put your energy into it. Yeah.
And the whole business is based on passion.
Yeah.
If it was about money, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You might be. I won't be.
No, 100%. It's always been about the passion completely. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just been a bit of a learning curve, and I was just curious with you, like why you moved away from your distribution model.
Yeah.
Has there been a point then within your business and sort of entrepreneurial journey where you've gone, you know what, like, not I'm successful, but like, has there been any of that, or are you still like,
not really.
Never,
not
because you're doing well.
Yeah, we're doing well, but I think the drug is that next level. Is we're doing well, but there is so much we've got to prove, so much we want to do.
I was thinking before, everything needs cleaning.
Yeah.
What doesn't need cleaning?
I know, absolutely, I know.
So,
well, and it's also emerging. It's emerging categories within cycling, and also when you look at the stats of the cycle market, it's outside of enthusiast cycling. It's vast, it's huge, and so there's so much more to educate and go for. To me, it's, I think the money side has never been the motivator.
Really?
No,
Okay.
it's important.
Yeah,
It's like someone said to me, it's a great way to keep score. It's something to say, well, I'm doing all right, but to me, it's like you said, this wouldn't be the industry if you're going for the dollars. It's not the thing to do. And I think even creating the kind of products we create, where you're forging a market, that's a very expensive. All the profit goes back into the business, so it's it has to be done for something greater than just what you personally get out of it. And I think that's the drug. Is it's a very satisfying side byproduct of growing the business, but we just know there's so much more we can do, and we want to invest in technology.
You can get a vibe off people as well, man.
Yeah.
This is a pure compliment, but like, if you were a really horrible, shrewd businessman, I'd like to think that I've got a relatively good gauge of that, and I'd be like, nah, he's a dick.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's passion, like it is.
Yeah.
You're obviously really enthusiastic. You can see that in your mannerisms and how you genuinely are enthusiastic about this business, and that's really nice to see as well. Like,
Well, we've had along the journey. I went through a period of having a couple of investors, and one of them was a fantastic guy, still a good friend. He's a great guy. The other company and individual were not so good, and that was a life lesson. Be careful who you align yourself with, because he was a hard-nosed business guy, but critically not a cyclist or a brand guy. So the friction that creates is really, really tough, and that life became very miserable because I'm a brand and passionate guy, and when you're suddenly having more hard-nosed business board meetings and business meetings just about bottom line and profit, it's like that's not what we're here to do, really. You've got to have a strong bottom line to survive. You have to be profitable.
I think that side of things can really just suck the motivation out. Like previously, I worked for in fact they've gone now, so we can name them. I worked for One Industries for a while, and they're amazing company to work for. When I first started, I was really young, super passionate dude. Like when I was younger, I used to study magazines. I was super weird. I used to study magazines about brands and where they came from, and I wanted to know everything about how it came to market and all that sort of stuff. And I always wanted to have a distribution company or work with distribution. So I remember getting this job, right? And I had the dream job when I was around 20, 21, maybe around that sort of age, where they'd never really wanted me to sell anything. Yeah. I was just customer contact. And I think it was probably a little bit ahead of its time, that job, because a lot of reps on the road were very much like let's scratch the order pad, let's get some, whatever. Whereas my job was literally to hang out, drink coffee, chat motocross, and show them product. Wow. There was no targets, there was nothing. Yeah. Relatively young again, 20, 21, brand new car, decent salary, dream job, dude, right? Yeah. Dream. And then it got bought out by an investment company, 777 Group bought it out, and it became about target. And I understand there's got to be some level of we need to be hitting, we need to do something. But the way I was doing the job, there was, orders coming in because I had good contact with customers. People buy off people, right?
Yeah.
So I had really good contact with customers, and like the brand was doing really good, blah, blah, blah. But then these targets started to come in that a lot of the time were just unachievable.
Right.
And it just sucked all of the passion out of it. It was just about like targets and how many stores have you seen today? Have you seen 5 shops today? No, I've only seen 3. Getting a bollocking, trackers on cars. Again, there's got to be some aspect of that. I fully appreciate that, but it really did just suck all that motivation out, and I was just like, I hate this. Like it's turning me into a horrible person too. Because I'm like, I need that order out of your man. Like I need it before 31st of Jan.
Well, you then become just like a killer. You're just there's
and
no
I think it,
emotion.
Especially when you're visiting shops a lot. Like they can sense that. They know that you're up against it.
You're up against pressure, and that doesn't do anyone any good. I mean that just sucks creativity out of anything. And I think that's I'm definitely a creative, and I found having to constantly justify everything I shoot from the hip. So if I see an opportunity to sponsor an amazing athlete or team, I'm like, I just feel so right. My gut says I just want to do that, and I'm to try and break that down to an ROI and say, well, where's the return on investment of that? It's like, as long as we can afford it, and it's not going to mean we screw up the business. I want to do that, and I don't care if I don't take any money out of the business. I never have. It's like to me, it's the reaching a vision and a goal of where we can take Muc-Off and what it can be globally. That's anything that's getting in the way of that is just frustration. And I ended up buying out both investors actually.
Right.
And so we're back to 100% family owned because we want to be fast moving, and we know what we do is unique, and it's not an accountant or a hard-nosed business guy is going to probably say that doesn't make any sense. But it's like we know it makes sense to us because we're going here, and we're going to go around it in the way we want to do it. I couldn't run the business. I couldn't run the business to with a load of suits telling me that you can do it and it's all down to numbers. It would just
really
kill
cool.
me.
It's really cool. And again, coming here and seeing everything that you guys have got. I mean, we're sat in this amazing boardroom right now, but everything's on brand. I love that you've done that.
Cool.
The toolboxes. Yeah. Everything here is on brand. Yeah. It's amazing. Man. Well, it's really inspiring.
Thank you. And we realised that really early on. When we first started going to events, and there were just 2 or 3 of us in the business, we'd always managed to get vans in pink and black, or we'd have a van and we'd get nice stickers on it. But we were always obsessed with the detail. So every time we'd go to like a muddy event, we'd always take a cleaning kit and clean the van, silicone the tyres and everything. So we were always like stand out in the details. So it's kind of, we haven't got any money, but you know what, we can control these things. So it's control what you can. We can. It doesn't cost anything to clean the van and obsessively clean the calipers and the brake dust off, off everything. But when you realise that you'll have a couple of people come by the booth and go like, "Love that you've cleaned your van, guys." Like that's like
it's cool
for the right consumer that spots that stuff. They're like, "You put that extra effort in." And when you realise that people see that everything's about energy. A product has energy, even though it's a static thing, a liquid in a bottle. If a human being has put energy into something, it has an energy. So it's energy in, energy out, and I think that probably is our product development mindset, that we could probably make lots more money by stripping out features that probably most people don't even know exist in the product, but that would undermine the whole DNA of Muc-Off. It's about creating the best of the best, and that we will sacrifice our margin to do that. And again, I always reference Apple, but Jonathan Ivey, I remember in an interview he said they said, what do you think is the single biggest reason Apple's so successful? He said, from my point of view, easy. I'm never given a target price to develop to. The price will be what the price will be. Right. I'm just told to create the best of what I can do. And that's very much for us. We would never in a million years create a product to a price. We clearly have to make a margin because you have to have a healthy, profitable business to invest in and grow. So of course we have to be profitable, but there's a level where you say we will always sacrifice margin to create a better product than we need to make. And I think that's consumers very quickly see if a product's being stripped of features or being cheapened in any way.
I can't remember who it was, but it must have been the same sort of thing I was reading about the iPhone box and how much development went into that.
Yeah.
About having it really slowly
Yeah,
come up with
the
like a
timing
bit
of,
of suction of
like,
the, oh man, little things like
beautiful,
yeah.
just that obsessive attention to detail.
Yeah.
But that's the difference in an Apple product, isn't it? You know, there's some other incredible smartphones out there, but they still manage
It's hard
to
to get
have
away
that.
from it.
It's hard to get away from it.
Once it's got you, it's got you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No matter how many phone screens you smash.
I know. Oh, that's punishing.
Really mindful of your time now, dude.
No,
but
don't worry,
let's
no worries.
smash through a few of these. In fact, while I'm finding some stuff on my phone, what advice would you give someone? This is a really cliche question, but I'm really intrigued what you'd say. What advice would you give someone who's starting a business, either in or out of the mountain bike / whatever market, action sports market?
I think there's so many things I've failed at and learned from. It could be a long list, but I think you've got to be razor focused on what where you're going and who your consumer is. You know, funding is everything. Cash is king. You've got to stay liquid, and I think so. Knowing, doing everything you can do that doesn't cost you any money. You know, we built Muc-Off off a shoestring. Everything was just, you know, if you can get to an event and just go and set up a booth and talk to people. So identify the things you can do that don't cost you anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we finished our first website, I just went to night school and just
Really?
learned web development and built a website. So, but that didn't cost me anything. So it's just time. So your time doesn't cost you anything, but it's very valuable. So certainly setting out things that don't cost anything or the minimal cost that you can get. It's all about that initial momentum. And how do you get a groundswell? How do you get interest in something, an energy going? And that's the tough side of business, as we've said today.
Yeah.
Like it really is. You have to put your life on hold unless you're incredibly lucky in inventing something or having some incredible, you know, software app or something. But I don't think anyone's successful in anything without incredible hard work taking place somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's very rare, if ever. So I think it's, you know, be really focused on doing one thing really, really well, and just hammering it that night and day. But it's that funding piece and learning about how do you convince a bank or private investors or PE houses, how do you convince them to invest in your idea if that's what you do. But we never really sought outside investment. We did everything off just tightening everything down to pennies, and that was, you know, buying as good as you can. It's so easy to buy wrong, you know. There's but you can really work everything to death, and you know, through just energy and passion, you can get other people to buy in and believe in what you're doing. So if they support you, they're going to grow their business when you grow. So it's probably not a very clear answer there, but there's so much that you know. There's so much advice to give on that, and I'd love to give more advice on that stuff, because I'm definitely a person that's learned the hard way. I definitely have had some terrible failures and difficult things.
Is there one that sticks out, like out of interest?
I think actually the difficult investor was a really bad move.
Right.
That was a life lesson. But again, we've come out of it and prospered and grown, and you know, no harm done. But not a nice thing to go through when you get involved with lawyers and difficult things like that. It's awful. And I think the failure is going to other markets, particularly with our category. You know, with a product that is a really high performance cleaning product, which is still our number one seller, the pink cleaner. You've got lots of different people, from boat users to car to caravan, marine, and you know, you can easily go down wrong path and go. You can follow the excitement, but you've got to stick to your original path. And I was never very good at being strategic in terms of building a business plan.
Got you.
And actually now I've realised the power. You know, even a budget. I never for the first 6-7 years of running the business, I never had a budget. It was just all gut, and that's fine to a point. But when you realise it becomes too big for you to make every decision, and I was really resistant. There's kind of a bit kind of punk-minded. It's like, oh, that all just sounds too serious, and like I'm not really into that stuff. I just want to make great product and and work with cool athletes and stuff. But learning about that, learning about putting a budget together, putting a basic plan together, that's been really fantastic and really, it sounds so simple, but it's the simple stuff that's really powerful. And just having something that you just reference back to and sit down at the end of every month and go, lots has happened and every day is so frantic and crazy, but are we doing what we've set out to do?
That's interesting you say that, because again, that's something that over the last couple of years I've really started to take notice of as well, man. Like every year try and just be like, right, what do we want to achieve this year? And then in 6 months you go, are we anywhere? I did it with the podcast listeners as well. I was like, everyone send in some of your targets for the year, like whether it's personal, business, whatever, and let's see where we're at in 6 months. It was interesting.
It's really cool, isn't it? It's
but
really cool.
and also working with bigger brands, so Red Bull Spect, for example, there's a lot of money behind that. So being able to work a budget and be like, right, this is where I think we should be putting money, avoid this, and that's kind of similar, because sunglasses go in every market, and you can easily go, right,
where do you
go?
Absolutely.
But you're trying to go, right, let's just focus on this little bit, and then once we've got that somewhat right, maybe we'll move over.
Absolutely.
So
and it's hard when you're a passionate person, because you see all this opportunity and you just want to go for it all.
Exactly.
But baby steps and building blocks and having to apply, and it's really satisfying, I'm a big obsessor with to-do lists. I've got to-do lists for to-do lists. I just obsess with Evernote. And just everything is pouring out of to-do. It's 3
You learn every time that getting it out is so much better than keeping it in.
Isn't it just? It's fantastic. And just my head is just downloading into Evernote. I just obsess with it, and I find that really cool to have something that the most powerful thing is ticking something off a list, whether it's small day-to-day, hour-by-hour stuff, or going for the really big achievements of a big product launch or a big target or something. That I find that a really adrenaline fueled thing. I've kind of only just been learning in the last few years to do more of that.
Right.
And as we've got a board now and an FD and commercial directors, and they've brought with them a wealth of talent that help on that side. And I find that side fascinating because having the great analogy is a ship without a course. It just goes round and round in circles, and you think you're going really fast and you're going really hard, but if you can just go round and round and think, oh, we're growing okay, but we could grow a lot faster, and it's that kind of definition of madness, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So having that strategy to sort of pull you back in line is really powerful.
Amazing, that's cool, man. Let's choose a few of these. I just looked. 120 different messages.
Whoa,
so
awesome.
Let's chill out a little bit on those. I'll try and pick a few. Now, people submitted these questions not knowing who I was going to talk to.
Cool.
So I'll just give you a few. Let us know what you think. All right, so first one, Max Ostman on Instagram. How do you make yourself stand out?
Shout loud. Don't just be different, be a million miles different. For us, it's be really true to ourselves. If we don't follow the herd, it goes back to that kind of skate DNA of just like do things differently. Just be punk. Don't just. You don't need to follow anyone, and have an idea, and don't be afraid to just keep driving that message. And in everything you do, just try and be different. It's really important.
I love that analogy. You don't have to be the best, you just have to be different.
Absolutely
sometimes.
Right. 100%. 100%.
I've lived my life by that.
Yeah, love it.
All right, this is a pretty good one actually. I'll not mention the company, but what is being done to stop online companies, devaluing products?
Well, there's various things. It comes down to really, for us, the channel strategy. So we will develop certain products that will just go to independents.
Okay.
We'll do lots of different work around that. So different complete products or different kits, and really just giving everyone a channel, because there's clearly big volumes with the online guys, and that's the challenge for all brands. Is you need your revenue streams, but for us it's it's important that our core independent market is the beating heart of what we do, and it has been from day one, and it will always be, because that's ultimately where people want to go and buy products. So it's about supporting independence and doing. For example, we've just launched a refill centre for refilling 1 litre bottles, so you can go into your IBD and refill. So saving plastic and a cheaper price for the consumer and a good margin for the store. So lots of incentives about how to get people into store. And doing workshop incentives to support workshops. So we try and do it in lots of different ways. So,
okay. Yeah. Slightly off topic. This. You've been to Halfords?
Yes.
Amazing place. Really beautiful foyer. You've seen the little mini and stuff.
I've not seen that.
It's
no.
cool, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
I must see that.
All right. So I went to Halfords the other day. I've got to tell you this. It's hilarious. So I went to Halfords the other day. For obviously a relatively small distributor, going to Halfords is pretty cool. Like, going to Halfords, like meet the buyers of the P&A. I met him at the Buy It Place show already, so got this meeting laid down. So I get there. Halfords it's a really nice place. It's got this beautiful foyer. So I walk in the foyer, sort of reception area. I look down at my shoe. I've got leaves all over my shoe. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm here to see X person. Smelling it, I'm like, oh no. So I'm like chuckling to myself, like, oh no, what have I done? So I look behind and there's a trail of dog shit all the way across reception. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I've just trailed dog shit straight through here. I'm really, really sorry. So the receptionist found it hilarious. Anyway, they've got this like tannoy system at reception. So rather than quietly saying, can someone come and clean up this mess that this idiot has brought in, it comes over the loudspeaker. Basically, can someone come to reception? We've got dog excrement. I can't believe you said dog excrement, dude. I'm like, you've got dog excrement that somebody's trodden in. So I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So anyway, I'm like, oh, I forgot to pick up my business cards. So I'm like, oh, I'm nipping to the van. I'm like bright red, but I am laughing because it was kind of funny. So I'm walking back into, it's like 2 double doors. And I'm walking back towards the guy I'm meeting is stood inside the 2 double doors, right? So the first door went to open, but didn't open. So I just walked straight into a door. My hat flies off. My nose is like all like hurting. I'm like, God. It's like the worst start to a meeting ever. Anyway, it's not all glitz and glamour. This bike industry shit, right?
Absolutely. Oh
Fucking
God, when it goes,
the meeting went well.
Oh, that's good. Well, you got all the bad luck out of the way before. Yeah.
Mate, we've got so many messages saying, can I have some free stuff? Okay, we've got one. At I am Ross Zinnerai. Why isn't the industry getting serious on climate change?
Well, I think it's interesting actually because I think the industry needs to get together with. I think there needs to be a joint, a joint project where everyone gets together on it, because I think we're in such a environmentally positive industry.
Yeah. For sure.
But there's not any, there's not any kind of single voice on it. That I think everyone's working on their own initiatives, but not as a collective.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot more work to be done there.
Across all industries as well, right? Like
all industries. I think absolutely right. But we don't seem to. Cycling doesn't. I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem to bang the drum. It's such an advantage, particularly with e-bike. They're saying the e-bike will ultimately replace the second family car. It is fueling. More and more people getting on bikes, and that's the most carbon positive thing you can do, I think. And so we do a lot ourselves, and we've got a big initiative. We just launched a thing called Project Green, where we're targeting 30 tons of plastic saving in the next 3 years, just by refilling. We've got some new NPD, new product development coming out in the next few months, which is really exciting about reducing plastic. So we're doing a lot, but there's so much more we can do, and we find it hard because so much of the major investment into replacing plastics is for the big drinks companies, so it's not filtering down to be available for companies of our size. But we're doing our own things just to say, well, the tech is not there to replace plastic bottles yet. So let's we've always believed in speccing the highest quality triggers and bottles, so it should never be used and then thrown away. It can be used 15, 16 times a bottle.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much 3-year life cycle for a bottle.
That's cool. Yeah.
So because even recycling uses energy, so refilling obviously doesn't have any energy really. So there's a lot we're doing, but that's not part of a collective.
Yeah.
So I think that's somehow
Maybe you're the man to head it up.
I know, maybe it's given me an idea. It's a good question.
Maybe. What else we got? See, a lot of people thought it was going to be an owner of a bike brand. So, okay, what do you reckon is most important to your marketing? Race results or social media dominance? Good question.
That's a really good question.
Pete, R94.
I think social media dominance, because as important as winning is, because it's the ultimate proof of a product. If it can be won at a world level, it's fantastic, and so much of our sponsorship is around winning. But for a brand like ours, we're really about solving problems or making people's lives easier. So we're very aware that the real joy of cycling is cycling.
Yeah.
Cleaning your bike is not most people's idea of joy. It's a byproduct of having the enjoyment of riding. So if we can reduce the cleaning and make that as simple as possible, so you can just get back, clean, lube, protect, and then just basically go and have a cup of tea and have a bath, and do that in an enjoyable way with the least amount of hassle. That's kind of our goal. So if we can dominate, if you like, social media with that messaging of the kind of bike hacks and ways to use the product and make your life as easy as possible in terms of maintenance, then that's what we want to spread loud and clear. So I think for most consumers that's probably more, that's clearly more important than maybe who's won. But I think for us, we go for a balance of the two. We've got 3-4 full-time in-house videographers just filming content.
Wow.
Just to help them. You've seen the studio we've got for all of that stuff. So how-tos and help is our bigger kind of focus.
Interesting. All right. Awesome. Right, we had another one, and then we'll wrap up if that's cool. This is a perfect one to end on, I feel like. Loads of people saying, have you got any jobs? Obviously, there's probably like 15 of those here.
There's lots, at the moment.
At Dan Locks, when is the Muc-Off sex lube coming out? Perfect one to end on, man. Do you still do the body care range?
I enjoy the R&D of that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly,
absolutely. So
can you imagine Dr. M?
Absolutely, I love it. He would. He might blow a fuse on that one. Yeah. Maybe there's development going on with that behind the scenes.
Is that what we can't talk about?
That could be the big new project. Imagine the dynamometer for that. There's probably already exist, don't they? Specialist websites.
Funny. One of the first businesses I ever started was a sex toy website. Online sex toy website.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awful, man. It was a total waste of time.
Was it?
Oh, total. It was me and I think we spoke about it on the podcast. You don't mind me saying this. Joe from Steel City Media, and we sat, dude, for weeks uploading product onto a website. Amazing. And then a mate of mine who's really tech savvy said, "You do know you can just download this feed and just click that button and it'll all go on there." And I'm like,
way. Oh my god!
It's called Nighttime Supplies.
Wow!
So when I was racing forecross, I sponsored myself. Nighttimesupplies.co.uk was my sponsor.
I love it.
So, yeah.
Why was that? What was it? A tough industry? Was it competitive?
We had no idea what we were doing. We just thought it'd be hilarious to start this sex toy website.
Because it makes sense in terms of something that people maybe want to keep on the down low.
Exactly.
To order online.
Dude, we got orders, no question, but it was like, where's it going? No idea what we're doing. Joe got really good at filming stuff as well. It's like, focus on that, mate. Like, there's no need to be doing this online sex toy website. But that was one of the first things that you could drop ship. So you literally just create a website and just like drag all the product on and just drop ship it. We didn't even see anything. So it did all right, but we decided best to move on with our careers.
That's a great stepping stone there,
Cool. All right, man.
Awesome.
Well, we've gone a little longer than we thought we would, but I want to say a massive thank you for people who don't already. Like, where can they find out more about Muc-Off?
All on our website, mucoff.com.
Yep, available. Majority of IBDs around the UK and world.
IBDs, absolutely. So just retailers and online, we try and be far and wide. So you hopefully should find us quite easily.
Sick. All right, dude. Thank you again. I really appreciate you taking the time out. I hope it's not been too stressful.
Loved
quite
it.
Nice.
Thanks so much. It's been really enjoyable.
Do this
Thanks for coming
more
out.
often,
I've really enjoyed it. It's been fantastic.
All right, that's a wrap.
Cool.
Easy.
Thanks, mate. It's been great.
And here we find ourselves at the end of this episode. Have you enjoyed it? Hopefully you have. If you have, please head over to iTunes and leave a review or share the episode on your social media networks. It makes a huge difference if you could do that. Reach out, let us know you listened, let Muc-Off know you listened, and most importantly, guys, thank you for lending us your ears and listening to this conversation with Alex. Have a great rest of your week. Don't forget, at the Hook It Podcast on anything and everything, at Muc-Off on anything and everything, and it's a wrap. Let's get into this week, guys. Boom!